Hey guys, this video is on processing. Now I know I've done processing videos in the past, but this one is going to be a lot better seeing as processing was one of my first videos. So let's get right to it. So what is processing? Processing is what you see all of these people doing. All these people in town around every various town's storage manager. All these people are processing, including my character right here. And processing is simply the act of taking a raw material, timber, ore, grains, anything like that, and converting it into a processed version of that material. So you can process timber and make it into planks, you can process ore into melted shards, you can turn things into ingots, make plywood, flour. There's lots of stuff you can make with processing. But the most useful are usually the products that come from timber, ores, and the occasional grain product. So why do we process? Well, we process because of money. It's always about money. If you have to ask why we do something in Black Desert, it's always about money. Either you're making things for yourself to save money, or you're making things to sell to other players to earn money, but in the end, it's really all about money. So processing is one of the best ways of making money AFK in the game. Because of how long you can process for several hours at a time, and the amount of silver you make per hour doing so, processing can usually edge out fishing to make it the best AFK moneymaker in the game. Now, of course, fishing does have the big advantage of the fact that fishing is the one that can be left on the longest. Fishing can go for a long time, like 10 hours plus, if you have a decent inventory. But processing usually makes more money per hour than fishing does. So processing is definitely something that you'll want to get into if you're serious about making money in Black Desert, or you just want to have something to feel like you're progressing throughout the day while you're not at your computer. So there's a few different things you'll need to process, and to process effectively. Anyone can process. You just press the L button and open up the processing tab. So I just will do that now for you. There you go. So that's the processing tab. You just hit the L button, open it up. If you hit the various things, such as heating, you can see that I can do some stuff. Grinding, chopping, drying. There's plenty of different processing methods. And on the right side, you can see your recipes. So if I go to my heating, for example, you can see that I know how to make ultimate weapon reform stones, pure silver crystals, concentrated stones, lumps of raw sugar. So as soon as you make something once, you don't need to know how to make something, but as soon as you make something once, you learn the recipe for it. So if you ever forget, you can just go to that part of the knowledge and look it up. And then the other thing that you'll want is occasionally there are some items, such as ingots, that require you to have knowledge. And the knowledge, there's a certain item that you really want to make and you cannot seem to make it even though you have the ingredients, a quick Google should give you the quest that you need to do to get the knowledge. Now, most of the quests you just do through the Black Spirit. They're fairly easy, but sometimes you will need a certain processing level. So if you go to your life skills, press P, open up your profile, you can see your processing level right here. And sometimes you do need skilled or higher for some skills. I want to say even professional for the final ones to learn the final knowledges. But it's not too difficult to get that, and honestly you want artisan too anyways, because in order to process efficiently, what raising your processing skill does is up until about artisan 2 or 3, the amount of items you get every time you process an item increase. So when you're processing, you require a certain number of the items. For timber, you need 5 of the timber. So let me just grab a bunch of timber here. We'll grab 50 timber. And let me put on my processing crafter's clothes. So you go to processing, you go chopping, you right click it, and then your character starts chopping. And every attempt takes 10 seconds. And increasing your processing level increases the chances of a successful attempt. Don't worry, an unsuccessful attempt will not consume any materials, you just won't get to do it. And there you can see, so I had a successful attempt. I made 3 maple planks out of 5 timber, which is pretty good. So you take 5 every time you do it. Every time that it procs, so you can see it procced a second time right before I stopped it to give me 1 plank. Every time it procs, it takes 5. And on average, once you hit Artisan 2, is when it caps out, Artisan 2 or 3, you will get 2.5 of the result for every 5 you use. So 2.5 planks for every 5 timber, which averages to 2 timber to 1 plank in the end, because it's 5 to 2.5 ratio. So getting to Artisan 2 means you will not lose money, because the people you're competing against to sell these processed goods to are for sure above Artisan 2 processing. For example, I'm not even in the rankings, and I'm at Master 11 processing. And if I open up the rankings here to go to the processing rankings on the server, you can see Master 12 is currently the lowest on the rankings. So getting to Artisan 2 is pretty important processing, but you can do that in a day. All you want to do if you want to power level your processing is grab cotton or flax and heat it into the yarn, because it's really quick, it gives a ton of processing experience, and it's pretty easy to do. Also, it's a good idea if you're trying to get experience to at least buy some embroidered craftsman's clothes, as will increase the rate of processing experience you get and increase your success rate for processing, which will increase the experience per hour you're gaining. So as you can see, from those 50 I gained 23, just below average, but not bad. And that's how you do processing in a nutshell. So the important recipes to know for processing are, you pretty much want to process everything 2 times. You process timber into planks, then you process planks into plywood. And both of those are just through chopping. Ore is a bit different. For ore, you process iron ore into melted iron shards, and then you take melted iron shards and you heat them with coal to make steel. So I've got steel right there. And if you have the made outfit, you can do this. You can process right from the storage, and the result will go into your inventory. Let's make some steel here. So melted iron shard and coal make steel. And there's a few other recipes that I'll show you quickly. Melted copper shards and melted zinc shards will make brass. And melted tin shard and melted copper shards will make bronze. Which you probably know if you played RuneScape. So those are the 3 important recipes for ore. Iron and coal is the most common because coal and iron are most plentiful. Brass and bronze are a bit harder to make because zinc and tin are rarer metals than copper is. You'll have lots of copper, but you won't have much zinc or tin. And you'll have lots of coal and iron, so making steel is pretty easy. But steel has the lowest amount of money per hour. So the highest money per hour in processing, it comes from timber. However, the timber's drawbacks are that timber doesn't let you AFK process for very long. If I go here, you can see that timber has a weight of 0.5 LT, whereas ore only has a weight of 0.3, which means for every 2 timber, actually more than that, for every 6 timber you make, you can make 10 ore. So it's a 5 to 3 ratio. So 5 ore to 3 timber to fill up your inventory. So if your inventory can hold 500 ore, it can only hold 300 timber, which means you're going to fill up your inventory with timber much faster. So even though timber makes more money per hour, ore can make you better money if you're AFK for longer times. If you're AFK for more than 10 hours or 12 hours at a time, I would recommend doing fishing instead of processing, just because fishing can go even longer than ore, and I think it makes more money than ore. But if you're going to set up only one, processing is probably the one to go for, as long as you're not AFKing for more than about 8 to 10 hours at a time. Anyways, back to what we were talking about earlier. So ore is pretty important because it makes less money, but can be done for longer. Timber, the best timber to use is acacia, but acacia is a nightmare to get because there's like one node that has it. Not even that one. Where is it? Honestly, it's over here. Stonetail Wasteland, acacia timber. There might be like one other node or a few in Kamasil, I can't even tell. But acacia is a nightmare to get. No one sells it. If it is sold, the marketplace bots snap it up right away, and it can make you like 3 mil per hour that you process it. So make sure you grab that node once you start expanding into Medea over to 2 Tarif, just because it's super useful to have acacia timber. It'll make you tons of money. Very briefly, because you've got to wait for a while for it to come up. Anyways, so processing from the inventory, the reason it doubles your money, did I say that? Yeah. So if you get the processing outfit and you can process from the storage, the reason it doubles your money is because the 5 to 2.5 ratio, the 2 to 1 ratio of processed goods, so of the items you process into the items they become, means that you're going to have half the weight in your inventory remaining once you're done that you started with. Because if you start with 500 timber in your inventory and you process that and you get an average of 2.5 plywood or planks per process, you're going to end up with 250 planks, which means your inventory is only half full. But if you're processing from the storage, even if it's getting deposited into your inventory, as you can see, the steel keeps coming into my inventory right now, that means you're going to go into your inventory is full, which means you'll have double the amount in your inventory when you're finished, which means you'll make double the profits for that processing session. That's why the maid outfit, or the Karki suit, is such a great item, because it literally doubles your profits. Like, what other item in the game can you actually say doubles your profits? Except for pets, and everyone knows how important pets are. So it's pretty important to get that, and you're also going to want a lot of weight. You can see that I've got 1139 weight. I don't have a value pack right now, so I'm missing 100. I'm not wearing any weight-enhancing clothes or anything like that. This is purely just my character's weight plus my belt. You can see my little belt right there. So maximizing your weight and grabbing the processing outfit are the two things you really need to do in order to process the most efficiently. But there's a few other things you should be doing as well. One of them is building a proper worker empire. And the reason for this is, yes, you can make money if you buy processed goods from the marketplace. So rule number one, you can buy processed goods from the marketplace. A lot of people think, oh, what do? I've processed everything in all my storages and I've only got like 100 potatoes and like 50 timber left in Heidel. You can go buy stuff and process that while you're AFK. No worries, you will still make money. In fact, you'll still make fairly decent money, like 500k up to several mil, not several mil, I think like 1.2 mil per hour for certain timbers, and more for acacia, but like I said, you're never going to get that, so dream on. But if you want to buy stuff in the marketplace, you will make money. Do not worry about it. Run up, buy all the iron ore, buy all the coal, compete with myself and all the marketplace bots that also buy all this stuff, and you can process that. However, you are going to make less money than you would make just purchasing beer and using that beer to fund your workers who go and get the stuff for you. My worker empire is fully tooled for processing. I've got tons of processing nodes. You can see this is a copper and iron ore node. Up here I've got a timber node. This is another double ore node. I think it's copper and iron again. Coastal cliff. Yeah, gotta go clear out my Alvia storage. But that's a node. There's just tons of nodes you can get that give you processing items and that will make you fairly good money. And realistically, if you're going to processing, you kind of want to min-max it anyways. If you don't want to bother trying to min-max the amount of silver you're making per hour for AFK, just go fishing as well, because you can just sell it all to the trader and not worry too much and put up your relic fragments on the marketplace. But if you're going into processing, you might as well try to at least get as much money as you can out of it. And having a stable working empire is not difficult to do and will allow you to process many more materials and earn a lot more money. Apart from that, like I said, more weight equals more time spent processing. The more weight you have, the more you can fill your inventory and the more money you'll make in a session. It's as simple as that. And one of the most important things is you need a value pack for this to work out. The marketplace tax without a value pack is something like a 30% tax, which is pretty huge and will cut into your profits hugely. Like, no contest. You need a value pack if you want to profit from processing. Now, what you can do is you don't necessarily need a value pack running at all times. A lot of people think, oh, I'm processing, I always need a value pack. That's not true. You only need a value pack when you're claiming your processed items from the marketplace. So what you can do is you have a few options. You can wait until you snipe a value pack. You can hope that they give out a free value pack, like still got those 2 7-day ones that they gave out as compensation for being unable to unable to stay online for more than like an hour at a time for a month and a half straight. Or you can use loyalties every 2 weeks. So it's not the greatest option, but it is an option. Loyalty. Here we go, loyalties. To buy a 1-day value pack. Now, it takes 2 weeks and you only get it for 1 day. So what you should do if you're going to use this option is sell stuff like cedar that takes forever to sell. And before you collect it, activate the value pack. and then start selling as much stuff as you can over the next 24 hours. Stay on top of that value pack. Make sure you're selling stuff as fast as you can. Get rid of everything you've managed to process for the last 2 weeks, and then restart the process. Unfortunately, a day is probably not enough to get rid of everything you've made in 2 weeks if you've been processing diligently, just due to marketplace limitations. But it's a better option than trying to sell it and claim it with a value pack, just due to how much money you'll lose doing that. So if you're going to be processing, make sure when you're claiming your money from the marketplace, you have a value pack active. So apart from that, that's really all there is to processing, but there are quite a few commonly asked questions. So I already answered one. You do need a value pack. You should have a worker empire. If you have a worker empire, focus on ores and timbers. Those are the main things you're going to process, and having them will make your life easier. Then, apart from the worker empire, yes, you can buy things from the market. You will not lose money. You will make money. Don't worry about it. Buy stuff from the marketplace and process it. Then, one of the biggest questions is, how do you price your processed goods? So, pricing your processed goods, you have two options. You can go to the marketplace, do a quick look for the item you're selling. So let's say I'm going to sell my steel right here. So I look at my steel. I see that currently steel is selling at 7,779. And if I go down, it's about 7,800. So usually there's two things you want to check. You want to check how long things have been on the marketplace for. So you can see that this steel, most of it is pretty fresh, but some of it's been up for a day. So you can see the steel at 7,800 has been up for 5 days and 23 hours, which means it's been up for over a day at this point, which means it's not actually selling. So this stuff's been up for 3 hours, which for steel is actually fairly recent, which means you probably want to price it a little below. 77, 79 is a decent price, and 70 up anywhere up to, you don't want it to go below about 21 hours. So 77.89 is probably what I'd price my steel at right here. Sometimes though, the entire market is taken up by items that are below the price that you really want to sell items for. At this point, you go and you consult the processing sheet, Biohack's processing sheet. So let me just go over here, and I'll put this link in the description for you guys. And here you have it. This is Biohack's processing sheet. You can see the most recent date that he updated it for, February 5th, 2018. And these are general prices. Now, of course, these prices, this is not your holy grail. You cannot expect these prices to remain exact. But these prices should give you a good idea of what good prices are for your items. And it also shows you how much money you're making per hour for each item. And it also shows you how much money you're making per hour if you buy it from the marketplace. So you can see, yes, there's a big difference. You make about 40-45% more if you sell steel that you made with your workers' items as opposed to steel from the marketplace, but you're still making fairly good money. That's still about 60-70% of the amount that you'd make if you had your workers bring it in. And it's even more pronounced the higher you get up, because the amount that you make if you buy it off the marketplace is only about 200,000 or 300,000 per hour less than the amount that you make if you brought in the items from your workers. So this shows two things. One, processing from the market is profitable. Blah. Like I said, it's profitable. You can buy from the market. Don't worry about it. Two, your workers bring about 200,000 to 300,000 silver of materials every time they bring in enough for you to do an hour of processing, which really shows the profitability of workers, because if workers can bring that in, even if it takes a worker 2 days to bring that in, that's 300,000 silver that worker's making. If you have 50 workers doing that, so 150,000 silver a day times 50, that's 7.5 million silver per day just from your workers right there. So obviously those numbers are a little made up, except for the 300,000 part, but you get the point. Workers, just invest in your worker empire, and not only your processing see better profits, but you will see better profits. And it's kind of a symbiotic relationship too, because if you're a processor, your worker empire is now more profitable because you are not just selling the goods to the marketplace, but instead you are processing them first, adding value to those goods, and then selling them yourself. So it's kind of like a win-win. But back to pricing the goods. So you've got biohack spreadsheet there, and then what you do is you can cross-reference that. Just if it's out of date, because that's 4 days old, you can double check the prices. For example, a bunch of steel just went up at 7,600. This person's losing money. They could, each of these steel times 500 could sell for easily another 150 silver. And that might not seem like a lot. Oh, 500 times 150, that's not actually that much. Trying to think of how much that even is. 750, 7,500, 75,000 silver. But when you get to hundreds of thousands of hundreds of thousands of steel bars created, that's millions and millions of silver you lost. So you don't need to go for every little cutthroat bit of profit. For example, you don't need to be at 77.97 here. But it's a good idea to be at least at about 77.79, 77.89, just because then you're making that extra bit of profit that really brings in the silver. And that's what this game's all about. It's all about getting silver and using that silver to buy more items so you can gain more silver. You get silver, you use that silver to buy gear, you use that gear to grind better monsters, use those monsters to get more silver, which you get better gear that you can join a Node War guild, which gives you payouts, which gives you more silver, which you get better gear with, to grind better monsters, to join a better Node War guild, to join a siege guild, to get those nice, fat, juicy territory payouts. Now, of course, that's way, way down the line, but that's what this game's about, right? Making silver, making money, to spend money to make more money. Which I guess is what life's about in the end, but I mean, you could have like a holistic view of life, I suppose. I don't know. Kind of off on a tangent. It's 4 a.m., you know? Anyways, so in the end, processing is the best AFK life skill to make money if you're not AFK for more than 6 to, I'd say 8 hours at a time, up to 10 at the most. Otherwise, go fishing. It helps your worker empire to make more money for you. It is a great way to kind of keep track of the market. It's a fun life skill to do. It does require some investment because if you want to make the most out of it, especially if you want to process for more than 3 or 4 hours, you do need the costume from the shop. I want to say it's over here. Venezuela costume set. It's the Karki set for males. So if I went to the Musa, or the Wizard rather, it's the Karki suit set. You also do need weight, and you're going to want to buy the weight on whichever character is your main. Unless you've got the money to have a life skill character, in which case go wild, have a life skill character that's your processor as well. But because weight is character bound, you will want that on your main. It's a great way to earn money. You make between 1 and 3 million silver per hour processing, which is pretty sweet, especially if you're processing like 15, 20 hours a day. Because 20 million a day means you're making 600 million silver a month just from processing, not including house fame, worker empire, grinding, guild payouts. There's tons of stuff that can drive that over $1 billion a month. But processing is a pretty big part of that. So I would definitely advise to anyone that wants to make money AFK to process or fish, but this video is about processing, so I'm advising you to process in this video. It's a great way to earn money. It's fun just because seeing this number tick up is surprisingly amusing. I don't know, it makes me happy to see my processing go up. And realistically, it's probably one of the best ways to earn money in Black Desert. Yes, 20 million silver doesn't sound like too much because that's only 2 hours of grinding. But realistically, who actually has 2 hours to grind every single night? If they're playing other games or if they're doing other things. Processing lets you just have Black Desert going in the background while you play other games. It lets you have Black Desert. It lets you do other things with your life while you're still progressing in Black Desert. Progress while you process. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope this video is a bit more informative than my other videos on processing have been. Shout out in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see or learn about processing. Processing is what my guild likes to pretend that is all I do, which is totally not true. And maybe one day I won't see you because I'm AFK, but we will both process together here at the Idle Storage. Anyways, thanks for watching, subscribe if you like it, and have a